properties. And so all of these essentially cater to sargassum being considered by scholars such as Simonson and Argo Velajo as a groundbreaking compound for PCMs. And literally, they would have just started this research last year in 2023, and that's the first time that sargassum would have been considered as a material to be used in such a very integral industry such as energy. And the fact that it's bio-based and it's a
1 minute left.
renewable
Lanika, you
source.
have 1 minute left. Just letting
No
you know.
problem, literally at the end.
Automatic.
So
Okay.
the fact that it's a bio-based and renewable source as well speaks volume, because in terms of PCMs, there were no other alternatives that were actually being considered. Its chemical characteristics reflects high thermal stability and energy efficiency. In terms of the impacts of the research, so there are a lot of countries that have committed to very high renewable energy goals. For example, Jamaica intends to get to 50% renewables by 2030, and that's impossible without energy storage. And so this research will cater to the advancement in in renewable energy storage. Of course, it has environmental impact as it's reducing greenhouse gas emissions and the reliance on non-renewable sources, and it has
You're
a
at
lot of
time,
economic
Lanika. Lanika,
benefits.
you're at time, and I'm being encouraged.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
All
thank
right,
you so much. This is the research team, Dr. Raho, Dr. Boyd, and myself, and thank
excellent.
you.
Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
so I will now, okay, so thank you, Lanika. I'm gonna, we have a slight change, so Dr. Chadee is able to stay with us, so we keep all the questions to the end. And I'm gonna now introduce Kian Mason. All right, so Kian is a final year MPhil, and she's at UWI Cave Hill campus. Kian is a final year MPhil student within the Faculty of Science and Technology at UWI Cave Hill, pursuing his studies in chemistry. Her research focuses on the extraction and analysis of chemical constituents present in the Barbados brown seaweed and utilization of sargassum as a substrate in bioethanol production. All right, so by studying the biochemical properties of a macroalgae, Kian aims to investigate its nutritional properties and maximize the yield of the value-added product, sodium alginate, and bioethanol, thereby providing environmentally sustainable solutions to the excess sargassum. And so we'll continue on the theme of sargassum, and this is exciting. And I'm gonna give it to, I'm gonna pass it over to you, Kian, to jump into your talk. And I'll let you know, I don't know if you knew, but there's a 10 minutes, this is a 10-minute presentation, and I'll start the timer when you open up your slideshow. Yeah.
Okay, hi, good morning. My name is Kiani Mason, and today I will be presenting on my research entitled Production of Bioethanol from Sargassum Biomass through Simultaneous Saccharification and Fermentation. So to start my presentation, I will start with my introduction, followed by my rationale and objective, my research questions, then my research methodology, which encompasses my methodology and my findings, and I will enter my conclusion. So from 2011, the Caribbean region and the Northern Equatorial region has been experiencing an influx of the sargassum seaweed, which was believed to be influenced by the increase in ocean temperatures, as well as increase in nutrients in the oceans due to eutrophication. The two most dominant species found in the Sargasso Sea is what we often see in the Caribbean, which is the Sargassum natans and the Sargassum flutans. And the influx, which can be seen here, of the sargassum on our beaches have been affecting our economic, health, environmental, tourism, and social sectors due to the unpleasant odor of the hydrogen sulfide that is emitted during the decomposition of the seaweed, the unsightly appearance of the algae on the beaches, and the cost allocated to clean up the beaches, which can vary anywhere between 100 to 200 million US dollars per year within the region. So the composition of So sargassum seaweed is known as a brown seaweed, and it comprises of proteins, lipids, inorganic compounds, and carbohydrates, which include polysaccharides as well as free sugars. And the polysaccharides found in the sargassum seaweed are alginate, fucodan, cellulose, laminarin, and mannitol, which can all be broken down into simpler sugars using either acid hydrolysis or enzymes and other methods, and be converted into the biofuel bioethanol. So in two separate studies found in the literature carried out by Saravanan et al. And Bryant et al., who both performed thermal acid hydrolysis as well as enzymatic hydrolysis on sargassum sp using the Saccharomyces cerevisiae enzyme and the fermenting agent as a fermenting agent and the enzyme cellulase, they found a total yield of 19.9 and 2.79 grams per liter of bioethanol in the sargassum seaweed. In other literature, a maximum yield of 660 grams per liter of ethanol was obtained from another species of brown seaweed, indicating the potential of the sargassum seaweed to be used as a substrate in bioethanol production. So the rationale behind my research was that this research is necessary as the crude oil resource is diminishing and there is a need for a substitute for petrol-based fuels. It also supports the Paris Agreement, which was established in 2015, with the approach of combating climate change. When compared to petroleum products, ethanol is a more clean, renewable energy source that can be used. It provides a good source of carbohydrates because it's a third generational substrate, whereas other sources such as the first and second generation provides it creates a fight between food and fuel. Do I use the crops for food or do I use it for fuel? So sargassum is a much better source of bioethanol, and it reduces the challenge of the excess seaweed on the Caribbean beaches, which has been affecting not just residents, but our tourism sector. So my objective is to survey the Foul Bay Beach, which is found in Barbados on the southeastern coast, and biochemically analyze the carbohydrate content in the seaweed, which was collected during the months of March, June, September, and December to determine if there's a variation in the seaweed carbohydrate content and to examine the utilization of the sargassum seaweed as a substrate in biofuel production. So my research questions are, is there variation in the carbohydrate content of the sargassum seaweed collected at Foul Bay Beach in Barbados during the months of March, June, September, and December? What is the effect of the thermal acid hydrolysis and enzymatic saccharification on the release of the reducing sugars in the seaweed? What are the reducing sugars that can be exploited in the sargassum seaweed? And what is the efficacy of the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is the fermenting agent, in the production of bioethanol? So in order for me to achieve my objectives, there are a series of steps that I need to take. So first, the seaweed was collected at Foul Bay Beach in Barbados and carried to the lab where they were washed using tap water and soaked overnight in tap water for overnight. Once the seaweed was soaked, it was then dried using sunlight to reduce the energy usage, and then it was ground using a blender. Subsequent to that, the carbohydrate content was determined using the phenolic sulfuric acid method, and then the optimization of the thermal acid hydrolysis step was taken, but the acid, by varying the acid type, which was hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid, its concentration, the temperature, and the duration of the procedure. Following acid hydrolysis, the enzymatic saccharification stage was optimized by varying the enzymes, which was cellulase, viscozyme L, diazyme X4, Steramix plus, hemicellulase, and the concentration using the manufacturer's procedure by varying the pH and the temperature. Sorry, my battery is.
That's okay, technology. We all know the challenges. You're still here. We're still seeing you and hearing you.
I can't see anything. My battery died. Well, was kind of low, and I can't see anything on the screen right now.
Oh, but we're
okay.
seeing your slide, the experimental slide. Talk us through what comes after, because I know you've done this 100 times, right? So just talk us through what comes after.
Okay, so once enzymatic saccharification was done, we then carried out the experiments on the 4 batches of seaweed, which was collected during March, June, September, and December. So we carried out thermal acid hydrolysis using sulfuric acid 0.5 molar at 121 degrees for a period of 90 minutes in a ratio of 1:25, of the biomass to the acid. Once that was done, the total reducing sugar content was determined using the dinitrosilicic acid method. Following that, the simultaneous enzymatic saccharification was carried out using the 5 enzymes. So we simultaneously used the enzymes while varying the pH and the temperature based on the manufacturer's methods. And this was done. After this was done, the reducing sugar content was determined after each enzyme. Once that was completed, the total reducing sugar content was determined, and each individual reducing sugar present in the hydrolysate was determined using high-performance liquid chromatography. Following that, fermentation was carried out using, oh man, I think I stopped sharing.
Yeah, so now we're not seeing this slide anymore, but still talk us through the methodology.
Okay, so once this was done, fermentation was carried out using a yeast peptone dextrose medium in a 1:2 ratio, and that was carried out at 37 degrees for a period of 72 hours. Following fermentation, the medium was purified using using simple distillation, and this was done at a temperature of 80 to 90 degrees.
Okay, keep going. Maybe jump to some of the results and analysis.
Okay, so the findings from our results indicated that there was indeed variation in the carbohydrate content found in the biomass, and it varied from 43 to 65%, with the highest percentage of carbohydrates being found in the June batch, which with the results indicated that the use of acid and enzymatic saccharification was successful, showing over 700 milligrams per gram of reducing sugar found in each of the batches, with acid hydrolysis alone, which is in blue, showing over 150 milligrams per gram, reducing sugars that is about 1/5 of what was found in the total batch. And we can see that each enzyme played a critical role in releasing reducing sugars from the biomass, while viscozyme L performed the best. Further studies indicated that the reducing sugars present in the biomass were glucose, galactose, mannose, xylose, rhamnose, fucose, and arabinose, and an average ethanol concentration of 104 grams per liter was obtained from the hydrolysate. So in conclusion, we know that sargassum biomass is freely available in the Caribbean, and we know that over 5 million tons of sargassum is available throughout the Caribbean region yearly. The carbohydrates and monosaccharides are present in the sargassum and can be exploited, and 104 grams per liter is the average ethanol concentration found in the biomass. Also, bioethanol can not only be used as a biofuel, but it can also be used in the medical and pharmaceutical industry, which we saw during COVID. There was a constant need to use hand sanitizer, and the main ingredient in hand sanitizer is ethanol. Also, it can be used in the food and chemical and cosmetic industry. And finally, the research can provide a new opportunity in developing the economy of the region. It can provide job opportunities. It can provide a reduce in our import bill when it comes to ethanol, and it supports the blue-green economy. And these are my references, and this brings an end to my presentation. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity.
Right on time. You see, your battery died, your slides went off, and you still made it in 10 minutes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And these things happen, so don't panic when things like that happen. So we're going to keep it rolling. I know Shanice Martin is in transit, and we wanted to do her next. So what